friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Becca, and on this channel I talk all about how I run my small Etsy jewelry business. So if that's what you're looking for, you're in the right place. Today I'm going to talk about something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about how to stay motivated as a small business when things are slow. So maybe you need to grab your coffee, maybe this is tea. Grab your coffee, grab your tea, and let's have a chat about motivation and small business. So honestly, like we've all been there, right? We are in kind of the same boat. If you're running a small business, then you probably know this feeling all too well. Maybe your sales are slow. Maybe you had a launch that failed. Maybe you have some expectation that isn't being met while running your small business. The good news is that you are not alone. We have all been there. This is something that so frequently happens and has happened to me multiple times in my small business journey, which really hasn't been that long, honestly, but it's already happened to me a few times. And I want to share with you guys exactly what I've done to kind of overcome this lack of motivation for running my small business. Okay, so when I'm in this really unfortunate slump, I really like to think about what it is that's causing me to feel this way. It is something negative, right? Like something didn't go as I expected. I have really low sales, but I'm putting all of my energy in. One time I had a launch that I expected to do amazing because I thought I did everything possible and it didn't. One time I realized it was taking up so much of my time and I wasn't sure I was willing to put in that much time away from my family, and wasn't sure if I wanted to keep going. So I think it's really important that you or me or whoever's in this position, we kind of think about where we're at and how and what we want our life and our business to look like. I think it's really important, especially for me when I'm going through this, to stop and think about what is causing me to feel this way so that I can really figure out if it's something that I want to fix or not. There have been times I thought maybe it wasn't for me, but because I stopped and thought about it, I realized it really is something I want to do. I'm just going to have to push through these obstacles. So what I do next, after I assess what's going on, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling, I try to remind myself of why I'm doing this. Now, when I say I need to remember why I'm doing this, it gets really important to narrow down your why of your business. And I think for me, I actually didn't even get this narrowed down until I was probably halfway through starting my business. And I started to realize that things were getting really hard and complicated. And if I wanted it to grow, I was really going to have to focus. And it wasn't until then that I decided my why for my business and kind of realized that it is something I feel drawn to and I have an innate desire to do. And I really believe that when we have desires to do something, like it's there for a reason. And I think that when I'm feeling that lack of motivation, it's because I'm losing sight of my why, like my ultimate purpose for why I'm doing this. And so I stop and I after I've assessed and said, hey, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? Then I go ahead and say, okay, stop wallowing in whatever that is and let's focus on my why. And that has really gotten me through some of the weird things that I've done. Vulnerable moment here, guys. I shared a video a couple weeks ago and I was getting emotional because I was so overwhelmed with the love and support that I have found on YouTube. And I did not want to post any of that emotional stuff. And I did. And I felt weird about it after. I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's gonna judge me. But you know what? Whatever. It did. I had to get through that moment and I could have let that moment say, nope, you were too vulnerable. Pull out, Becca. Stop doing that. But I reminded myself of why I'm doing it. Like the whole point I'm doing this is because I want to help people. And in order to help people, you got to be real and vulnerable. And that's what that was. And so I'm still glad that I did that, even though I had these weird feelings afterwards and felt like I wanted to quit. So that's the second one. Remind yourself of your why. If you don't know your why yet, there's this really awesome article on Forbes.com that I'm going to link below. And it's all about finding your why and kind of what your passion is and why it's your passion. So if you don't have that why yet, that thing anchoring you to your small business, go ahead and try reading that article and see if it gives you some tips. So my next tip for when you're really feeling down and lack of motivation for your business is attach yourself to a small business community. Find somewhere that can encourage and inspire, even sometimes feel the feels that you're feeling. Like if you're feeling really down in your business and like it's really slow and all that you're working toward isn't coming out as you want it, a community of people can be in that same boat with you. I think it's so important. For me, I have found that community to be invaluable. I go on a bunch of different places. I'm a Patreon of somebody named Emily Harvey Art. She's amazing and her community is amazing. I feel encouraged when I listen to her and I read the Discord comments on small business and what other people are going through. It makes me feel not alone. I also get super inspired by watching other people grow and watching other people do that thing that it is that they're meant to do. It makes me feel empowered to do the same thing for myself. So I fill myself with that stuff all the time. Now, I think it's a slippery slope and you could fall into comparison where you want to compare yourself to them and you're not at the same place that they're at yet. I mind my mind for that. I make sure that I don't go down that road and that I just get inspired and encouraged by their journey, and it really does work. And I think finding somebody to inspire you and that you can look forward to reaching that level someday is amazing. And I'm so thankful for those communities. If you're not a part of a community yet and you need somebody to talk to, message me on Instagram. I'm there. I want to be able to help you run your small business and help encourage you to live out your dreams, because I'm getting to live out mine and I know how amazing it's been for me. So if you ever want to chat, you can leave a comment. I'll respond to you, or you can go ahead on Instagram and talk to me there. Either way, I hope you can find a community. I am building a Patreon. I'm thinking the launch date is going to be September 1st. Don't hold me to that. It may not be. If it's delayed, I'm not sure. It depends how smoothly school goes and if my kids actually stay in school. If they do, my goal is for September 1st. So we can build a community together. Sip insert. Okay, the fourth thing that I do when I'm feeling a lack of motivation is I try something new and I try something that scares me. They're not always together. Sometimes they're exclusive. One is just try something new. Sometimes it's something that scares me. Most often, it's a little bit of both. But I feel like this is so important because you know the quote that everybody attributes to Einstein, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. So I find this super helpful for getting me out of a rut. I'm a little ADD sometimes and I need to be entertained and engaged in my business. And if I'm doing the same thing over and over and it's boring and I'm getting no results, then trying something new is exactly what I need to do. And I've done this multiple times. They have not always worked out, don't get me wrong. They have scared the crap out of me and made me feel vulnerable times a million. But they also got me out of a slump and they kept me going and feeling alive. It's scary, but it gives me this fuel, this fire that I kind of needed, and a little bit of an adrenaline rush to keep me going. So as creators, I think it's important to remember we need to create. That's a part of doing something new, right? Maybe you need to start a new project. Maybe you need to come up with a new line. Maybe you just need to feed your creative juices. And I think that that's so important. For me, I need to be able to express my creative juices in order to feel motivated. And you guys know on that table back there is like my new line that I drew, and they're like the You Got This, and then there's another one for my craft fair coming up. That motivated me. That inspires me to keep going. And honestly, most of us are creatives, right? That's what we need. So yeah, try something new. My next one is more like determination. I'm gonna recommend a book. The book is called Grit, and it is by Angela Duckworth. I read this book over Christmas, and right before this, I had thought about quitting. I said, you know what? This is not working out. Sales aren't going as planned. I have lack of business, and I'm putting in all this what seems to be effort, and it's not coming back to me. And so I was just about ready to quit. And I read this book, and it was amazing. It changed my perspective on my business completely. So the coolest thing about this book is she talks about the people who succeed, the people who stand out are not necessarily geniuses or talented more than other people. They have something different, and it's called grit. And that is the determination to succeed in the face of adversity and obstacles. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. They didn't give up. It wasn't because they were better than other people or anything special. It was because they didn't give up. And to me, that was like a light switch in my head. I said, oh my gosh, I have a choice. And if this goes along with my why for life and my why for what I want to be doing with my life, then I need to choose every day to keep going. And so at that time, I decided to write myself an affirmation. I am big into affirmations. They have transformed my life. If you're not into them, that's totally okay. But this leads into my next tip, which is a pump up statement. And that plays into the book Grit, which I totally recommend you read and is linked below, because from that book, I developed an affirmation that was based around grit and not giving up. My affirmation was, oh, sorry if you hear that car. We're gonna let them leave. Tea break. Okay, so my affirmation was, I am determined to learn, grow, practice, and never give up. I said that all the time, every day, all day. And when I felt like quitting, when I felt tired, when I felt not inspired, not motivated, I would tell myself that. That is my choice to not give up. I learn, I grow, I practice, and I never give up. And once I started saying that to myself, I totally relabeled myself. I used to label myself as a quitter, and now I 100% don't. Like, I am determined to make this business grow and work because it's what I want. It's the thing that's the desire in my heart to do. So if you're not into affirmations, don't call it that. Just give yourself a pump up statement, a statement that makes you remember, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to choose it every day. I really think it's important to choose the things that are important to us and choose to keep working towards those goals or those ways of life. So I have a worksheet that I'm going to go ahead and link in the description below so that if you guys want to work on your pump up statement, you can. It's going to be super simple, but this will just help walk you through step by step if you don't have that yet or you want a little assistance doing it. It's going to be linked in my small business shop. There you go. Sip. Okay, guys. So my final way that I think you can overcome lack of motivation in your small business when sales are slow is to remember to celebrate wins and redefine failure. Now, this is one of the biggest ones to me. Celebrating wins is so important. You need to celebrate every tiny little win you have. I remember when I got to 100 subscribers, I was so excited and I was determined for every one of those 100 subscribers, and I was so thankful, and I celebrated that win. I did a giveaway and I talked about it on here, and it meant the world to me, and I was so proud of it. And then I did the same thing when I got to 1,000. I think it's so important to remember to give ourselves props for every little step that we make in the right direction. And it's these little rewards along the way that reminds you you are growing. Even though it might be slow, you're growing and you're doing it. So celebrate everything that you feel good about, everything that has moved the needle a little bit closer to your goal. Now, the other part of that is to redefine the word failure. Now, I've been talking about this for a long time. I tell my kids about this word all the time. Failure, it is not what we think it is. It is literally just something that didn't work. Okay? Now, if somebody did something that didn't work, you would never point your finger at them and say, you're a failure. You would say, oh, bummer, man, that didn't work out. What else are you going to try? Right? That's what that word is. And I think me in particular, I used to tell myself that if a launch failed, or if a video failed, or if a product failed, that I failed. But that's not true. I just learned a new way that doesn't work, and that's all there is to it. Well, I'm going to try a new one again. You can have 1,000 ideas that don't work out. That is completely normal, especially in entrepreneurship. So I think as an entrepreneur, it's so important for us to remember that failure is just one little learned lesson, one thing that you learn from it. So instead of letting failure make it this whole thing and label our entire being and our entire business, we just need to look at it, see what happened, and then shift. Do something else. When we have failures in our business, it does feel really personal. And I know that because I felt that way too. But now I just keep getting more comfortable and more comfortable with fails because I know that I'm just learning. Like, I'm going along and learning, and it's great and I love it. And guess what? I'm going to probably fail 100 more times, but I'm also going to succeed as well. And I'm going to remind myself of those successes. Those were all the tips that I had for you guys, but I also want to leave you guys with one last thing. I think it's also super important to not compare yourself to other people. And I am saying this to myself as I'm saying it to you, because I can really fall into the comparison trap. It is a slippery slope, especially when you want to be where somebody else is at. But you are who you are for a reason, and you're on your journey for a reason, same as me. And I remind myself of that every time I fall into that trap, because I know my journey is specific to me and nobody else is going to be able to live that out. And so I have to remind myself when I'm looking at somebody who's way further along than I am, that that's a goal, not something I'm using to make myself feel bad, but it's something I can look at and aspire toward and use to motivate me forward instead of using it to say, I'm not good enough. And I want to encourage you guys for that too. Don't let that comparison grab you like that, because it's such a dangerous beast. It's a dangerous animal. I didn't like it. Anyways, did I just mess up my hair? Anyway, okay, it is getting hot in here. I had to turn off the AC so there was no noise. My tea is kind of making me hot too, but it's delicious. So I'm gonna say goodbye to you guys. I hope these were helpful tips that you found and that you're able to use to help keep you motivated during times when businesses are slow. Right now is slow for us all. You are not alone. It's slow for me too. And during this time, I'm using it to make new videos, talk to you guys, work on new products, and prep for the crazy Christmas season coming around. So that's actually my next video, how I prep for my Christmas season. Look forward to that one. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
I'm somewhere in the middle, try to find myself again, but life is one big riddle of the future and what's been. Guess it's the way it goes, and I will never know.